related to the family members, but he has a very important connection to the family, and that's why I put him in there. You can see Big Amachi, the mother, Achan, father, and then you have Baby Mall and Monet. In the Indian culture, in India, to take the names of your parents is actually considered very, very rude. So my and I love that. My kids actually call me Mummy G, meaning Mummy dear, and they call my husband Daddy G. My mother and never spoke my father's name, and vice versa. It would always be Mekyaji, which means dearest. Can I? Literal meaning is uh, I am. I want to say something. Mekyaji, dear. My sisters did that too. They never took their husbands. They're all older than me, and they didn't take their husband's name. So it was a bit of a shock when I called my husband by his name, and I was like, I'm not doing that. And my mom was quite upset with me. So I want to talk about Jojo's mother. She died when Jojo was born, and she's called the benevolent ghost because she is there supporting Amici. And we'll talk about Amici as she was a child when she got married. Jojo unfortunately dies of the condition, and we'll talk about the condition in a minute. Baby Moll is my favorite character because she has something called cretinism, which is a condition where uh, they don't grow mentally and physically, they stay children. And she was the highlight of the book for me because she was always positive and she kind of had this psychic ability to see it in the future as well. And just a beautiful, beautiful character. She warmed my heart. The other person that I will not be talking about is Ninan. Ninan is the son of Philippos and Elsie. And unfortunately, he dies a horrible death. And we'll talk about that later. Not from the condition, though, but he did die a horrible death. Miriama is supposedly the daughter of Philippos and Elsie, and I will leave it at that until later. So we will move on to Big Amachi. I will start with a quote, and the quote is at the beginning of the book. The story opens with this: the saddest day of a girl's life is the day of her wedding. Not only did Amachi, a 12-year-old, marry a man who was 40 years old, she also had a child that she didn't know and she had a stepson when she got married. And they had a secret, the condition that wasn't shared with her before or with her family before they got married. You know, it wasn't unusual for people to get married that young. My own mother got married at 15, moved from India to Kenya to be with my husband, not my husband, but my father. Um, I got married in 1983, and I also had a semi-arranged marriage, albeit moved 3 hours away. But when I moved there, it was expected that I take on all of my in-laws' rules, regulations, ways, cultures, and completely forget where I was coming from. I had to leave the people I loved, the people I knew. And and often actually what also happens, it didn't happen with me and it didn't happen with my mother, but often people, when they get married, the girls get married, they're given a new name by the in-laws. So your identity is, you know, so attached to the name, but then you lose that and you have a new name. So she's married into a family with a condition, and she grows to be a wise, deeply spiritual, and resilient figure, becoming the bedrock of the family. I'll read page 39 for you. If you have the book, that's great. And this is how she took on the responsibility of being the homemaker in this new place. Every morning, when she reawakens the embers in the hearth, the kitchen welcomes her like a sister with no secrets, and it makes her happy She's come to believe this has everything to do with the benevolent presence of Jojo's mother. So she feels Jojo's mother's ghost, helping her to cook, teaching her to cook. And she usually lives in the basement where all the pickles are. So she's there all the time with her. And I think that Dr. Verghese brought this up because he had a grandma, apparently, who would cook like that, and he would go into the kitchen and feel the warmth and the love with which she cooked. So I think he brought the kitchen up and that feeling of acceptance and warmth because of that. Also, Big Amachi's strength is her faith. She perseveres through all the losses of Ninan and Jojo, and her faith in God is unwavering. God didn't always answer her, but when he did, or she did, I should say, when they did, she listened. And I told you about Dr. Verghese's grandma's story, and he also said that the grandma had a lot of faith. I also wanted to bring the mund or mundu. This is that a piece of cloth that both men and women wrap around themselves in Kerala, or used to, and I think they still do um, in some villages. And the women used to go bare chested, but when the British came over, they thought that was barbaric. So the women were told to cover their chests. And there's a mundu in the back there. You'll see if you want to feel it's just cotton. And it's just a sheet of, I don't know, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet, something like that, maybe a little longer. And it has a gold rim around it, a trim. And if you had a gold trim, you were from the higher caste. Philippos is the son of Achin and Big Amachi. He is not like his father. His father is strong and able to move quickly, do things strongly. He was very, very strong and agile. But Philippos is more sensitive. He is more into literature and is a great writer. Because his mother wanted him to do well, she told him to go to university, and he wanted to go to university. He was a good writer. So he leaves to study in Madras University, but when he's there, he's dismissed because he has this hearing issue. I'll read page 314 here. This is when he discovers he's been dismissed because of his hearing. Deafness. The word feels like a cudgel blow to the back of his head. Call him inattentive. Say he is unfit, unmotivated, but not that. I am not deaf. The issue is volume. People choose to mumble, to speak in half sentences or whispers. He's kept that terrible word at bay. He despises labels that take away. Can't swim because his mother wouldn't let him swim because of the condition. Can't hear. Can't. He's unfortunate. So when he's coming back from his university to Parambil, where his home is, he meets on the train. He meets his wife Elsie, and when they fall in love, of course, they get married, and he is besotted with her. And one morning he says, "Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Whatever you want." And she says, "Anything?" And he goes, "Yes, anything. I will give you anything." He's very idealistic here. And she says, "See that window? There's a tree out there that stops the light from coming in. Could you remove that?" So he's torn. He is completely torn because this tree has been in his family for generations. He loves that tree. So the reality is he cannot cut it down. And it's causing some issues between them. So he tells one of his workers to go ahead, and Shamuel actually, to cut it down. So what they do is, instead of cutting it down at the bottom, they take out the branches. So it's like just a trunk with all these little things coming out of it. Well, poor Ninan. Ninan is their son. He loves to climb. He climbs and has a tragic, tragic fall and dies because he's stuck on one of these sharp branches. So their marriage is strewn with tragedy and illness that shadows Philippo's life. He is torn between ideals and reality, as I just spoke about. And I love this sentence that Dr. Verghese writes. He, Philippos, wrote because memory alone could not hold the weight of grief. Here, Dr. Verghese brings in addiction and how detrimental it can be because he did get Philippos hurts himself very badly. He's in pain. He's also both emotionally and physically, and he starts taking drugs. He, Dr. Verghese also talks about physicians taking drugs who may need painkillers just to stand because their backs may hurt or they're just not able to focus. And they take painkillers to help them stand for long times working on their patients. So he does struggle with addiction, hearing loss, and trying to be a good father. Elsie. I honestly feel like I don't know enough about Elsie in this book. I don't feel like I got to know her emotions enough. Um, I learned about her talent and what she produced. She was an amazing artist, but I didn't feel that I knew her intimately like I did all the other characters. She has an artistic voice that echoes throughout Philippo's and others' lives. She has a sad life, actually. Two loves, one that diminishes due to tragedy, losing Ninan, and the other unfulfilled due to another type of tragedy we'll talk about later. I think for me, it was the moment that she decided to leave her child that really got to me. That was heart wrenching for me. It was very difficult, albeit due to leprosy. And she is a lovely, loving mother because she loved Ninan incredibly and had inner conflict and the need for freedom. She wanted to get married to somebody who would let her do her art. And that was why there were problems between Philippos and her. Dr. Digby Kilgore, he has a troubled childhood. I laugh because I don't know why in this book he has affairs with married women. And I just thought that's interesting. He, he has a troubled childhood. He is brought up by a single mother who he comes home one day and she has committed suicide. So he's very troubled by that because he was the caregiver and a very loving son. He's a young, idealistic physician with aspirations. He left Scotland because, because of a sort of caste system in the British Isles. He was a Catholic in a primarily Protestant hospital with no prospects of moving up the ladder. Abraham Verghese brings the caste issue up when Philippos meets Elsie on the train back from Madras to his home. I will read the page 325. If I can find it, there we go. And this is about how caste again, he talks about the caste on this train. And this is Philippos. When the sun sets, the tiffin carriers and dinner packets emerge. All class distinctions have vanished. In third class C cubicle, Philippos has food thrust at him from every direction. Dr. Verghese talked about the fact that if any of the classes, if they had a ticket for first class through to C class, they could easily get on any of those. There wasn't that distinction on the train. So I think Dr. Verghese was talking about the fact that on the train, everybody was the same. Everybody was sharing everything. He's an outsider. Why? I think here Dr. Verghese gives the outsider perspective on India and shows how medicine connects across boundaries. He details procedures with precision and brings authenticity to medical scenes. And some of them are pretty gory. I don't know if any of you have read the books. It's very, very detailed. Digby left Scotland in a lower status, only to find himself on the other end of the spectrum in Kerala. Now, when he was traveling, I will quote page 95, but when he was traveling from Scotland to Kerala, he went by a boat. And on the boat, he met this man called Banerjee. And this is about what happened when they got to Kerala. Digby swivels around to see a red-faced Englishman rise from behind a customs desk to loom over Banerjee. The tableau sends a chill through him, a wrenching recognition that he is, by virtue of arrival, one of the occupiers. His is the inalienable right to be first off the gangway, receive a quick stamp of his papers, and not be talked to in this manner. Banerjee's gaze falls upon Digby. His hooded eyes have turned hard as stone, expressing the dogged resentment and the unwavering resolve of a subjugated nation that bides its time. And if you haven't done so, please do read Isabel Wilkinson's book called Caste. It's very, very informative. So he moves to Kerala and he's disillusioned. Why? Because although he has support from the nurses and doctors there, he still finds conflict with some of the other doctors. He does find love with another man's wife, another physician's wife, and that love meets with a tragic accident that leaves him unable to practice medicine. So when he's unable to practice medicine, Dr. Verghese talks about his identity. Who is he if he can't do surgery? What is he going to be worth? He struggles deeply with this. And I think most of us do at some time or another, especially when we retire. Yeah. And I think maybe Dr. Verghese also struggled with this when he decided to leave Stanford and follow his dream. Dr. Kilgore is physically marred, emotionally scarred, and has tragic love affairs. Abraham Verghese brings in the fact that we are all flawed and the same at the same time. There's a quote that I'll read out by Dr. Roon. Dr. Roon is one of the physicians in the book who is amazingly compassionate and starts a leprosy colony and helps with that. But I will read this, page 196. And I love this. In a rush of clarity, Roon sees all things the leper could not. He feels himself disappear in the capaciousness of the universe. He has become the sagging net, the blind leper who must sleep under the stars. In the immensity of the cosmos, Roon feels he himself is nothing, an illusion. The difference between him and the leper is no difference at all. They are just manifestations of the universal consciousness. Just as the ocean manifests as a wave or surf, but neither wave nor surf is the ocean, so also is the Creator, God or Brahma. generates an impression of a universe that takes the form of a Swedish doctor or a blind leper. Rune is real, the leper is real, the fishing net is real. Yet it is all Maya, their separateness and illusion. And I think Dr. Verghese's spirituality comes through so strongly here. And the body's mysteries mirror soul's complexities. This is Miriama, supposedly the daughter of Philippos and Elsie. She is beloved by all, and she's the one who becomes the physician and discovers the diagnosis for the condition. The disease is von Recklinghausen disease or neurofibromatosis, a genetic mutation causing severe damage to the nerves, affecting hearing loss and balance. That's why Philippos, Ninen, and Jojo drowned, because once they were in the water, they couldn't find their balance at all. And they drowned due to disorientation. In a way, Miriama heals generational wounds. And that's because at her father's, Philippos, his death, she discovers, he leaves her a note saying that he is not her father and the mother is alive. So she discovers that, here we go, Dr. Kilgore, someone else's wife, is the father. So, in closing, I think Dr. Verghese captures the cultural preservation and untold stories of unheard of communities. He talks about the food preparation in the kitchen, the language, Monet, Mole, Mundu, and other traditions. He tells a story where both patients and doctors are humanized. He uses the drownings in water as a metaphor for inherited suffering, and that often they are family secrets. He emphasizes the importance of female characters at a time when women were subjugated. I love that about this book. Medical developments and interplay with humanity is there. And spirituality is such an undercurrent, whether it be Big Amachi with her solid faith, or whether it be Dr. Rune with the universal spirituality. I loved the poetic writing and the interweaving of characters and generations. In fact, all of it comes together so beautifully. So I will leave you with this. We still have a few minutes. Every generation carries water, some to drink, some to cross, and some to drown in. The question I have for you is, what does the title of the book, Covenant of Water, mean to you? And thank you so much for diving in, and I'm open for any questions. Any questions? No questions. Yes.
I am not able to see on the map where Kerala is. I couldn't see your little dot, and I never could find it.
Okay.
Could you just point it?
So this is all Kerala.
All of it.
All of it, yeah. And at the bottom, this is really at the bottom of India.
Okay.
So Kerala has all these little, it's like America having, you know, Oregon, Washington. So this is all Kerala.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Comment on the caste system, and then in this particular book, it's Christians, but Muslims also. In India, this caste system, does it end up permeating everything, including the other religions, perhaps?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So I'll start by saying that ages ago, caste systems actually wasn't in India. I'm talking about India because castes are everywhere. Caste system, class system is everywhere. But in India, everybody had something to do. That's where caste system started from. There were the priests, then I put it up here because they're called the Brahmins, but there were the priests, and then there were the people who used to clean the streets. So that was their job. There were the people who used to work with gold. That was their job. There were the people who used to be accountants. That was their jobs. These were all classified as classes and castes. That's how it started. But being human, we ruin everything. So yes, it permeates everything. In India, it's still very strong. I mean, a Brahmin will not marry. An achut is an untouchable. An untouchable uh, cannot move up the ladder in India. But at one time, centuries ago, I mean, I don't think they ever intermarried, but it was also a respected job, which it isn't anymore. I don't know if that answered your question at all. In a way, maybe, yes, it does still exist.
Just, in other words, for poor people would leave Hinduism because.
Yes, and that's,
and become
yes.
Muslims or Christians,
Well,
at least there's no caste system.
oh, there's a caste system in Muslims.
Okay.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just not, the achoots and untouchables. But in fact, in Pakistan, there are achoots as well. But there's definitely a caste system in the Muslims. But in Christianity, as we learned, there's also a caste system. But yes, they did convert. It was the lower classes that did want to convert because it took them away from that caste system. Yeah. And everybody was, especially in Kerala, they were the St. Thomas Christians. It wasn't any other religion. Hope that helped. Yes.
Yeah, I found it interesting that you commented relative to the trains essentially being an equality, and that's a relatively new invention that didn't show up until 1860 or 1870.
Mhm.
Was that something that the and the caste system clearly predates that?
Oh, yes.
So all of a sudden, when this new invention became available, then that was a decision made by the population?
I don't know because I've never traveled on the train in India, but I can tell you that from what Dr. Verghese said, in Kerala, you've got to remember that 99% literacy. So it's not, everybody's smart enough to know that they can maybe buy a ticket, they can work, they can get a ticket that would give them first class. But yes, once you're in there, and really, I have been to Kerala, and when we went there, I didn't see that many beggars like I do in North India. So, so maybe that answers your question. In Kerala, I think that it's more even. Everybody shares everything. If there's I can't say for sure, but if there was a Brahmin in the first class and a lower class person came on, I don't know if the Brahmin would take the food from somebody who is lesser, but it's available according to Dr. Verghese. Yes.
I have not read the book. I was familiar with Kerala 30 years ago, and it was my impression that in fact, Kerala had a compassionate communist, literally communist government, which I think may have influenced the social.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
I have read the book. If I recall correctly, there's I guess Anglo-Indian or community.
Mhm.
And if I also remember correctly, they were associated with the railways. So
Um,
they formed sort of a caste of their own.
The Anglo-Indian,
Sorry,
the Anglo-Indian community. Can you tell me where that was in the book? Because I can't remember. Or what was, I can't remember that.
no, it's a while ago.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And I just finished the book, so.
Yeah, I can't remember where.
And probably, I've tried to find people from Kerala to come with me today.
Oh.
And there aren't very many people from Kerala, none in Corvallis, none in Corvallis, one in Washington, and she just, so I can't answer that question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
Do you think conditions are any different now than they were from 1900 to 1970?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, women can choose their husbands. At least meet, and I'm sure introductions still happen, but it's a choice that women have. I'm sure the waterways are better. I mean, Kerala, 99%, I think it's even maybe 100% now literacy. I'm sure so much has moved forward. I'm sure of that. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Would you be willing to share what covenant of water means to you?
Oh, I'll ask you I'll answer with the question. What does it mean to you?
Still thinking about
You're
it.
still thinking about it. You know, the covenant, I think for me means I would say, a promise that we have with the water, that it's going to help. It's a contract in some ways, with the water, that it's going to give, it's going to take away, respect it. But also, it's a little bit of Big Amachi. She's so strong and she just goes with the flow. She's not against anything. She goes to this new place, learns how to live there, grows into this beautiful woman of wisdom and strength for the whole family. I think that covenant also and water being the emotions that are, rough and calm and just bubbling away. So I think that's what it is for me. Yes.
Thank you for bringing those very nice treats.
Thank you. I checked about bringing toddy, but I wasn't allowed to bring toddy. But well, we were left happy. But the banana chips are very much. I remember when we were in Kerala. My son's here right now. He was very little when we went to Kerala, and they would always give us banana chips all the time, and they were delicious. So that's why I brought that. And I was thinking maybe Kerala, they drank coffee, but actually they drink chai. So I was relieved by that because when they do drink coffee, I think they put chicory in it. So I couldn't get any chicory. Any other questions? And thank you for that. I really appreciate you saying, you appreciating that. Yes, Sharna.
Smita, that was beautiful. I haven't read the book, but I have traveled to Kerala and their literacy rate has actually dropped.
Oh, it
It's
has.
93% now.
Thank you.
And the one thing, if anyone was to visit Kerala, to get a massage of
Yep.
absolutely out of the world and fish, you have to eat
Fish is amazing.
different kinds. They're almost like 200 different ways they fix fish, so it's beautiful. And the train rides, I mean, I grew up in India, so I did not travel to Kerala as a kid, but recently I was in Kerala for almost 2 weeks. But the train rides in India were just I don't know how to explain it because it's an experience that is very difficult to share. And we don't have that in the US
Mhm.
as much because you'd be sitting in the trains as little kids and the chai wala, the tea, is bringing it on and the food served. It was just very amazing. So you kind of brought back all these memories for me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Sharna. And that's true. They in some trains food was served, but I think in this book people brought their own food, and that's why they were talking about the sharing. I do. If there are no other questions, yes.
Just a comment for anyone else who is going to read the book. I actually listened to it on the Libby app through the library and his voice is wonderful.
Isn't it?
So if that's a,
Oh,
I mean, you can tell by the thickness of the book, it's a commitment. He doesn't read fast. but it's
no.
really good.
Yeah, but you can.
Really liked his Scottish accent.
Yes, indeed, indeed. I read it and then I listened to it, and he was brilliant. He truly is brilliant. And I think, I don't know about the Libby app, but I think you can fast it. You can move it forward to two times or something like that. I also, and if there are no questions, are there any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I too am a user of Audible, and I mean, I went from cassettes to CDs and whatever, but I mean, I love the printed books. But the ability to listen anywhere I'm at, driving safely, and also the speed, and depends on the narrator. So, you know, a book on that was like 20 hours, but if I'm reading at 1.5, 1.55, I'm still getting it, but I'm cutting compared to reading. So the reading speed is a big factor. Also, your reference to Cass by Isabel Wilkerson was, if you haven't read that, that was an eye opener. And I will mention, the eye opener to me, light bulb, was Hitler used the caste system from America and our African-American miasma and terrible history for his destruction of the Jewish nation. And
Thank you.
that was, yeah. no.
Thank you for bringing that up, because it is an eye opener. So I would strongly suggest you
It's
read
a
it.
lovely book. I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And the way they explain that in America, we're just looking at racism. Sorry, we're moving.
No, that's fine. Not at all.
We're looking at racism and the invisible caste structure is hidden.
Everywhere.
It's a lovely book. That was.
Everywhere. And where it started. Oh, and we have it in the library. That's Brittany, I think. Yes, you were going to ask a question.
This is a medical question, because I did enjoy the fact that the book, his expertise as a doctor makes its way into the book, which is fascinating. But
Yes.
could you explain a little bit? I was recently in India and we had a presentation on that. I can't even pronounce.
Ayurveda?
Yeah, and it just seemed like oils and whatever. Tell me, and I can understand the person's.
Gosh,
Maybe you can give me.
Oh, I don't know about that, because Ayurveda is very complicated, and it's based on people's vata, which is either your heat personality, cold personality. They're different personalities, and according to that, I'm not an Ayurvedic physician, but according to that, it's the foods you use, and massage is a big thing, like Sharna was saying. It's huge in Ayurveda. And you know, the touch itself makes such a difference, right? A lot of us in America don't get that. We can't afford massages. But in India, they're very affordable. And just the using the oils, different oils have different
Hair and everything. I mean,
everything. I remember going to Kerala, and they lay me down and they just dropped oil on me. They just dropped oil on me. That's all they did. And although I was very oily when I stood up, but you know, I felt really good. It's very complicated, and you know, I would suggest you get a book on Ayurveda, a simple book on Ayurveda, because it is based on people's vata. Thanks for asking. Any other questions? Yes.
It's more an observation. It seems like there are so many physicians who write and write extremely well. And of course, I can't cite any of them at the moment. But it's a historical precedent.
It is, and it's very annoying because my husband is also very talented, and I don't know, maybe they learn how to focus on so much, every part of the body they need to learn, and maybe they can focus on things. My husband's an artist. He's a physician. He's an artist. He can play music. He can build things, and it's very annoying, but very, very, very fun. And I can't answer that, but yes, you're right. And
He doesn't write.
he is thinking of writing. And he's a very good writer. In fact, I had asked him to do this talk because he's a physician from Kenya, brought up in England, you know, and came to America, but he had too many other hobbies. Yes.
Thinking of art, who painted the pictures of all the characters?
Who painted the pictures? Let me that. Like these?
Yeah.
It's called AI. I just told, I think it's gamma.com. I said, this is what I want. And this is what it came up with. So this is baby Mall. This is what I asked. Oh, what's wrong with my? This is baby Mall. This is Big Amachi. This is Miriama. Who's this? Elsie. And of course, I bet you can't tell who Dr. Kilgore is. He's the fair guy. Yeah, it was AI.
I want to thank you for those illustrations. I thought it
Yeah.
added a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
really
Yes.
appreciate
Yes.
them.
Thank you.
AI.
AI, yes. But I did have to tell it what to do. I'm still in control. Any other questions? It's almost noon. I mean, 1. I do want to end with something that the book is so poetic, so beautiful. And I came away very melancholy because there was so much tragedy in this book. You know, it begins with that sentence of a 12-year-old leaves, it's the saddest time. And it ends with a mother not being able to see and touch her daughter. And I thought, it just left me melancholy. And I would say, it's not to put anyone off, it is a beautifully written book. That's why it's won so many accolades. And it did leave me melancholy. Too real. But thank you so much for listening and appreciate you being here.
All right, thank you so much, Sunita. I am just gonna pop in with a quick reminder that there are those review sheets in the back for some feedback. Please let us know what you've thought of this season so far and what you're looking forward to or hope to see next season. There's a little drop box, you could just drop those on in there. And I was also gonna plug, since AI came up, we do have a program this weekend about understanding AI this Saturday upstairs in the second floor classroom. I believe it's at 11 a.m. So if you want to learn more about AI, how that works, what are the ethical potential concerns around it, and what have you, that'll be happening this weekend. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks so much.